There is no more fertile racing ground than Indiana soil. From sprint cars to Indy cars, this truly is America's racing heartland. This weekend, stock cars command the spotlight. As NASCAR's biggest stars prepare to hit the bricks, the Nationwide Series arrives cross town here at O'Reilly Raceway Park. Amidst an atmosphere of tension and conflict, the championship leaders look to continue what has become a hostile battle. After a brief hiatus, Kyle Busch returns looking to assert his dominance. And some young hopefuls look to flash steel and turn heads on this short track showcase. They all arrive looking to do one thing: have at it in Indianapolis. Tonight's race may be just a prelude to the big one Sunday, but everyone here is taking it very seriously. And as we move closer to the green flag, you can sense the energy building here at O'Reilly Raceway Park. Certainly, there is no lack of emotion. There's plenty of carryover from a week ago. In the eye of the storm is this guy. Carl Edwards enters tonight as the series' most recent winner, but the way he was able to secure his gateway victory Saturday makes him public enemy #1 in some people's eyes, especially Brad Keselowski. The championship leader heads into tonight's race trying to shake off the sour memory of what transpired on the outskirts of St. Louis. Keselowski saw a near victory spoiled as he was victimized by some very aggressive racing coming to the checkers. Let's flash back. It all started shortly after the green-white checker restart. Keselowski to the inside of Edwards entering turn #1, and he slides up a bit. He'll clip the rear quarter panel of Edwards. Edwards gets loose. Let's take a closer look at what happened. You see Keselowski down low, loosens up Edwards. Edwards not very happy about it either, and returns the favor coming off of turn #4. Keselowski hard into the wall. Several cars collected, and with that, the stage is set for another great short track battle tonight here in Indy.
10, 9, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2,
Hello everybody and welcome to NASCAR Countdown. I'm Mike Massaro here at the O'Reilly Raceway Park. Just a short 20-minute drive from the famed Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And for drivers who have dreamt of one day racing at the Brickyard, those dreams, well, they started at places like this. Very tight, very fast, 0.7 of a mile short track. And of course, close quarter short track racing usually leads to some pretty tense moments. Tension, however, already at a fever pitch heading into this one. Everyone wants to know what's going to happen next between Brad Keselowski and Carl Edwards. What transpired between those two a week ago in Gateway, not an isolated incident. They have a history, and what happened may have opened some old wounds.
I knew we had something for him there at the end, and not real sure what happened there with Carl and all that, but I knew it was going to be a dogfight at the end, and we were fighting hard. It just didn't work out.
If that 09 can stay hooked to the back of that 99, it's going to be close right here at the line. Picks it, goes, outside as Edwards goes. Oh, no, he turns him.
I got to apologize to Carl for wrecking him, but man, the rule is you can't go below the yellow line, and he blocked, and I wasn't going below it.
Looks like Brad Keselowski gets in the back of the 60 car and spins him.
You mentioned it, aggressive driving. We just saw it.
Big time crash there from Brad Keselowski. I think this was Carl Edwards' payback for what happened earlier in this race.
We come back and just intentionally wreck someone. That's not cool. I mean, it could have killed somebody in the grandstand.
He's got one more lap to deal with Brad Keselowski. Keselowski fights back on the inside.
But whatever happens now, this race.
Keselowski gets into Edwards. They save it. This is going to be down to the wire. High touch. He's spun out. Carl gets into Keselowski. Carl Edwards will win. And they stack up behind.
He just got in over his head and tried too hard, and it was at my expense. So that was at his expense, and we got our win.
Carl flipped out like he did at Atlanta and tried to kill the kid. He ain't gonna kill my boy.
In the aftermath of Gateway, NASCAR issued penalties Wednesday, coming down hard on Carl Edwards. He was hit with a $25,000 fine and docked 60 Nationwide Series points. Jack Roush also lost 60 owners points. Meanwhile, Edwards and Keselowski were both placed on NASCAR probation until December 31st. Time now to hear from both of them, starting with Brad Keselowski, who's standing by with Shannon Spade.
Well, NASCAR has spoken, and their comment is, have at it, boys, will be tempered at least between the 22 and the 60. Brad Keselowski, Carl Edwards on probation until the end of the year. What does NASCAR probation mean to you?
Well, it just means that, although the end of the finish for the race at Gateway was exciting, intentional wrecking's not okay. I think NASCAR wanted to make sure that I knew that, didn't intentionally wreck Carl back. So to me, that means just to not go out and intentionally wreck each other. But, from speaking with NASCAR, they were happy with the way I raced and very supportive.
The last 2 weekends, you've had your season's worst results. Have you reached your limit of bad finishes running for a championship?
Yes and no. I feel like we've done a great job. We've been competitive. We've had a couple bad finishes, but our cars are so fast, and it's even fast today. Discount Tire Dodge today was just unbelievably quick in practice. Got kind of a bad draw in qualifying, but that's okay. I think we can get up to the front.
All right, Brad Keselowski's definitely going to make it exciting tonight. Rick?
Well, Carl Edwards, one man who is very happy that this is all going to be over with tonight. Let's talk about this race and the fact that this is hopefully going to at least put the incident behind you. Do you think that'll happen?
Yeah, that was last week, and last week's done. This week we're here at ORP, and we've got a really fast and all forward, and hopefully we can just go out here and run like we have in years past. And qualifying, it was not as fast as I wanted to be. We had a real loose off, so we're hoping these cool temperatures, these clouds rolling in, will get this thing going. I love this racetrack. It's fun.
Last year you started from the back of the pack, were able to go all the way to the front. Do you think you can do it again?
I think so. This race is very short, but a lot happens during this race, and I think tires me more than anything. So I think you'll see some guys coming and going a lot more. But yeah, I'm excited to race. And I just got to say thanks to all my fans for sticking with us this week, and and it's going to be a good season. I think Brad and I have a lot to look forward to. Good racing, and hopefully that's the way it heads.
Carl Edwards happy that tonight's going to happen, so he can just start moving on.
All right, thank you, Rick. Certainly that will be an underlying current we'll be following throughout the course of the night. And for more on that, let's go upstairs to the guy who will be calling lap-by-lap coverage. That, of course, being Vince Welch, who's accompanied by Ricky Craven and Rusty Wallace.
Well, the news of Brad Keselowski and Carl Edwards has certainly dominated the talk throughout the course of this week. But tonight, for the first time since that race at Gateway, they're actually going to be on the track racing against one another. Rusty, if we thought it was tight last week at Gateway, it's really tight on a short track. How do two guys on probation race one another on a short track tonight?
Well, Vince, they got to give each other a little bit more room, that's for sure. We talked to Joe Ballas, and I said, what's this mean? And they said, I told them they better give each other more room than they normally do. The problem is, I don't know if they're going to be able to do that. It's very, very hot here tonight at ORP. The car's going to be slipping and sliding all over the track, and if Brad and Carl get side by side, I'm not so sure they can stay off each other. They might slide into each other accidentally, and I hope that doesn't trigger a big explosion between the two of them again.
Well, it's not just about the drivers, too. I mean, the teams get involved in this when you've had as many incidents as these guys, right?
That's exactly right. At the end of last week, we saw Paul Wolf go down to Drew Blickensderfer and show his disgust, as he rightfully should have. Hey, listen, the team members, the guys that build the shocks and change the tires and add fuel to the car, they all have an opinion. They have skin in the game. And there's a little tension between the two teams, so keeping them apart is going to be important also.
Well, they're not going to be just together on the racetrack tonight. Take a look at where they are pitting. The blue pit there you see is the pit of the 60 team of Carl Edwards. To the right of that is the orange pit box of Eric McClure. And just to the end of McClure in the black pit box area, the discount tire, that's Brad Keselowski. So Keselowski and Edwards are separated by just one pit box tonight. So maybe not just tight on the track, but tight on pit lane as well. And there were a lot of other teams involved in that incident at Gateway last week. Aside from Edwards and Keselowski, Shelby Howard, big damage, Steve Arpin, Colin Brown, Jason Leffler, all suffered significant damage in that incident last week. In fact, let's check in now at the NASCAR Craftsman Tech Garage and find out what's the first thing teams do to start assessing that damage with Tim Brewer.
After a crash at a racetrack, you go back to the shop. What you have to do is put the car back on a surface plate so you can get accurate measurements on what's damaged on the front of the car. But if you have to replace the front snout on a car, you literally come in here and cut it off right here, rebuilding all the structure from here to the front of the car. But after you get the car back off the surface plate, you take it over to the body shop. That's when you have to reaffix all the sheet metal on it. But the same process in the rear of the car. If you got light damage, you cut it off right here behind the shock absorbers. But if the car's really mangled, angled. You literally come in here, cut all the bars off right here, and put the whole rear subframe back on the car, but you have to